Maryalice here with Change Your Aim, Change Your Life. This is video number 4 of our subject of from chance to change, to take charge. Okay, say that fast 5 times. Okay, we're going to head back here and let me just go over a couple things, because the first video we talked about the mind. We talked about what creates the mind, what creates you. And we even went so far back as to having you go over what life was like when you were just born and newborn. What was the atmosphere like? And what was life like for your mother when she was carrying you? Because all those are big influencers. And then we talked about what life was like for you when you were growing, when you were toddler into like kindergarten and first grade, and when did the abuse happen for you? What were your thoughts about it now that you're an adult and could put words to it? What were you feeling? What were the words that you put to it? Now, this isn't to dwell on that so much, it's to bring awareness, because those actions that were against you, that victimized you, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, caused you to feel and think things about yourself that aren't true. So it caused you to think, that you weren't good enough, you weren't smart enough, you're hated, or what was wrong with you, or you must be ugly, or I don't know, whatever, because every child is going to take the blame on. They're going to take that shame of the event and place it on themselves. So that inner shame is covering up, remember what I talked about, it's covering up your true essence of who you are. So we're going to talk about what happens when you begin to feel this way. So we're going to talk about coping mechanisms, okay? This is really serious. This is something that I've really worked on for many years when I thought about myself and going through the process of my own healing and recovery, and working with other women for 8 years in facilitating support groups, and then going back to school, earning my degree in psychology, going over family violence, studying addiction for years, and just going over and learning about the psyche of people. That's one of my passions, is just figuring out human behavior and why people do what they do. So what I came up with was the fact of their coping mechanisms, the coping styles. So for those children, and I'm specifically dealing with those of us who were abused as children, the false notions that come up, the fears, the not good enoughs, the shame, the embarrassment, the humiliation, even the physical pain and the trauma that's there, that's really embedded in the brain. And we talked about how the negatives in here become these big, these X's in our psyche. Okay, so these X's are there, and these X's kind of like dim our light because we don't know better, but now you do. And that's why I want you to know that these can be changed. You can like exit out, and God is there to help you. Oh my gosh, everything can be different for you, okay? So, and it takes time. I'm not saying it's easy and it's automatic and you just, have a happy thought and things are great. That's not it. It's not going to be quick and easy, especially for some people who've been traumatized more severely than others. It takes time and definitely some help from therapists, especially if there's some an imbalance of emotions and thinking. That you might be helped by certain medications. I'm not all for medicines. I'd rather deal with things naturally. And just as the body heals when we cut ourselves, I believe the mind can heal as well. But sometimes there is reason and a cause for certain medications that can help bring chemical balance in order to cope with these issues. So just be wise about that for yourself. Obviously I can't diagnose you. That's not my, what I do. I can be aware of certain problems within people and suggest that they get further help with a therapist, to figure out exactly what is going on in the brain so that you can take action to make balance. So if you have extreme moods, from going from happy, excited, manic to just dropping to depression, that's something that needs attention. And although I do believe that with certain work, along with a degree of an amount of medication to help balance that, and minerals in your life, like there are certain minerals that can really help your brain, that will help. That all, it's like a combination can really help. It's like creating a cake. You have recipe for things. So you want to be a delicious you, right? So you want to do what it takes to make you the best that you can be. Some people can heal and recover just by group work that I've been able to be a part of and facilitate. Some people need more help with counseling and therapy, and some people need a mix thereof. Some people have medications that help for whatever reason that might be. But the combination is really good, and it creates this balance. So just keep that in mind, okay? Because I want you to know there are varying degrees of help for each one of you, because each one of you is an individual. So let's get back to here where, in the past video, the number 3, I talked about the negative influences, the pain, the traumas, the humiliations that come in. And I even talked about, some of the pluses. I know in my life growing up, I had some pluses. I can remember some birthday parties that were fun. I can remember holidays that were great. Certain friendships I had growing up that were really fun. So even though I had some great things going on in my life, it was the abuse in my life that kind of took over. And if you recalled, I felt, instead of these individual X's that I needed to work on in my life, these false beliefs of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, there must be something wrong with me, I'm not lovable, if people really knew me, all these thoughts that can be X'd out, really. We can change those. I felt like I was the X, like I was one big X. Remember that one, that last video? So this is pretty common, and that's the shame talking. That's the shame that takes over when it penetrates throughout our body, and especially when we are small and young and have trauma and victimization occur. This is what's going to happen. There are not very many people who don't feel this way. Now, how that affects you when you feel that way becomes the way you cope. Because these X's, even the pluses, the green, the happy times, create synapses in the brain that create belief systems which go back down, and we believe it, goes back up and we think it. We believe it and feel it, goes back up and we think it. We believe it and feel it, goes down and comes back up. So it's this cycle. We have to go, no more, and put a cog in that wheel. Because what happens is we're going to begin to create coping mechanisms. We're hurting, we're struggling, we're not sure. We're like kids, we can't verbalize very well. Very few kids will tell what's going on in their lives. Even though they want to, they don't know who to trust. And so many kids, I've heard stories from adults, when they're kids, they told people and they didn't believe them, or they didn't know what to do, or they patted their head and went on, or even they told their parents and they were like, you can't say that, that's not right, oh my gosh. So, and then the trauma continues. The brain is genius. The brain says, you are here to survive, and I'm going to help you survive. And it's going to go through all the processes, the frontal cortex, the primal part of the brain in the back, and everything in between. It's going to make you cope with what's going on so that you survive. So you develop coping mechanisms. Depending on what's going on in your environment, who your greatest influencer is, whether your mother, your father, a neighbor, whoever's the most influential in your life, you might take on some of their characteristics to cope. So in other words, if you had an angry parent who was thrashing and yelling and abusing and hitting, you're going to develop a defense mechanism, and you're going to cope. The way you're going to cope with that could be a myriad of things, because everybody's different. But for some people, it could be a defense mechanism where they're just shutting down, they're building a wall, they're this, I can do anything, and, I'm going to, they put up a fist first before plunging into life with their heart. They plunge into life with their fist because they're putting up this defense already. Or it could be the other extreme, where they go through life with, love me, somebody just please like me, somebody please, I'll do anything for you, just love me, just like me, and just develops this whole coping mechanism of codependency, because they're looking on the outside to be loved instead of understanding that it's all on the inside. That these X's can be erased. They're not there permanently. These are all lies. These are all things that you began to believe about yourself because you didn't know any differently. So now I'm telling you that can change. So my next and last video is going to be about change. What are some of the things you can do to begin to change and erase those X's inside you, those feelings of unworthiness or self-doubt or not being smart enough or believing things about yourself that someone else told you to believe about yourself. See, we're only a product of other people's belief systems, if you think about it. When we're growing up, we're poured into what other people believe, and we're supposed to just accept it and believe what they believe. Now, some of it could be great and wonderful, but some of it could be toxic and negative and hurtful. And you don't have to take that. You don't have to believe it. And that's why I always say that you are amazing. You are a miracle, and you do matter. You really do. Even if you were brought up in a way that you were not treated that way, that doesn't mean that was the truth. That doesn't mean the way those people treated you was the truth. They only treated you that way because they lived in a world of their own belief about their own selves and the way they were raised. They never stopped to do the self-examination, the self-personal growth and development. And what you're doing right now, watching these videos, answering the questions, going deep in your heart, you want to change that course in your life. Sorry, I get emotional. The thing is that's what you're doing. Personal growth and development. You're developing yourself. That's what's so awesome. So please understand that your past, the things that you went through that caused these X's in your subconscious and your belief system, can be erased. They can go away. Because the bottom line in life is you must love yourself. You must have confidence in yourself to move forward, to go after your dreams, to pursue your passion, and to do it with confidence, knowing that we all stumble along the way. It's not like we come out of the womb knowing exactly what to do, but that's why we watch those who come before us who've done it, and we can watch and learn from them. Well, how did they do it? I want to do that. I like what they're doing. I can relate to that. So be open, be teachable, be willing to learn. And the most important thing is trust your gut. If you feel like something isn't right or doesn't resonate with you very well, not from your brain, I'm not talking about, because sometimes we'll be fooled and tricked and think, well, I don't trust them, I don't trust them, I don't trust them, because that's been your whole coping mechanism, is you don't trust anybody, anything, at any time, for any reason. And you'll give grand excuses of why you don't trust. And you're missing out on life. You're missing out on all the things God's giving you to move forward, and all the opportunities and all the ways to change your brain, to change your mindset, change your thinking, because you don't trust that person or people, and you think they're trying to trick you into something. And then there are other people who will believe anything at any time and really get tricked into things because they're an easy mark. So there's a fine balance there, isn't there? And that fine balance is knowing who you are, knowing that you're intelligent, you're smart, you're continuing to learn, and not just learn, but put into practice what you learn. You're willing to do the work of what you learn. You're willing to take action. It's one thing to learn. I mean, we can all sit and learn like being in school. So what? You can even talk about what you learn. So what? If you're not taking action to do what you're learning and to change what you want to change, then what's the use? I know a lot of people who can spout off a lot of things. They'll learn a lot of stuff, and they can tell me and, give lectures, but their life is in the toilet. They're hurting. They're sad. Just because they have all this knowledge doesn't mean that their life is great, because they're not doing what they're talking about doing. You see what I'm saying? I hope so. And I hope this video is helping you. I hope you know these X's can be erased. Sorry, I need a damp cloth to do that, but those X's can be erased. Your self-doubt can be erased, okay? Your low self-esteem can grow and change. Your self-respect, your self-worth. The more you understand about who you really are, and you are the essence of God on this planet, and there's so much to draw from that. Are you kidding me? And to allow that. It's the whole combination. Remember I was talking about the combination of creating a cake, the combination of recovery and change in our life, and the combination of who we are is God at work within us, and using what we know and learn and our talents and our abilities. You are a luscious, delicious, wonderful, beautiful human being, and I want you to know that. You are amazing, you're a miracle, and you matter. Thank you for listening. And the next video, video 5, the last, will be on the taking charge. Take charge of your life. Take charge of the change you can make, okay? Thanks for listening. This is Maryalice with Change Your Aim, Change Your Life.